Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will be talking about this. I will be talking about the cell, specifically the nucleus. Let's get into the video. So, I just want to say this is part 1 of the cell unit, and here I will go through the different parts of the cell in depth. So, first of all, what is a cell? The cell is the basic unit of life. All life starts from a single cell. So, in the bottom right corner, I have a picture of a cell. There are trillions of cells in a human organism. So there are trillions of these inside of you. Obviously, this is not the scale. This is not the actual size. It's a lot smaller. Each cell has different shapes and sizes, which makes them suitable for their jobs. So your bone cells, your liver cells, all of your cells don't look exactly like this. They're all different and they have different shapes. So the cell provides shape, structure, and growth for all organisms. So there are 2 types of cells. Over here in the bottom left corner, I have a prokaryotic cell. And on the bottom right corner, I have the eukaryotic cell. The main difference between them is that the eukaryotic cell, this big one in the bottom right corner, is a complicated cell, which has a nucleus, which is this thing that I am going over in red, and many other organelles. So what is an organelle? Basically, a human has organs, right? Heart, kidney, liver, brain. So the cell has organelles, which are basically like organs for the cell. They do functions, which helps this. They have their own specific functions, which help the cell survive and do its job. So while a prokaryotic cell, which is the bottom left, is a basic type of cell and doesn't consist of a nucleus. So you don't see this thing over here, right? Because this is a basic cell. It's called a prokaryotic cell. It doesn't have a nucleus. So now what exactly is a nucleus? So in a group or team, there's always a leader. They are the people who control and regulate the team members. Likewise, the nucleus is the leader of the cell. So it controls all the functions of the organelles in the cell. This is the nucleus. So what is the size of the nucleus? I said earlier that the photo was not exactly drawn to scale, and this is why. The nucleus is around 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, or 4 millimeters in depth. So that is really tiny. So obviously some are a little bit bigger depending on the cell. So still, 6 micrometers is really tiny. However, even though the size of it is really small, it occupies about 10% of the total volume in the cell. So I can kind of see how this thing, the nucleus, can cover about 10%. I think it may do maybe even more, but obviously that varies from cell to cell. Now, what is the location of the nucleus? The location of the nucleus is in the middle of the cell. Now, it's not exactly the smack middle. You see how it's a little bit closer to this than it is over here, but it's still very close to the middle. And this is since it controls the movement of the cell and many other important activities that take place inside the cell. So all these organelles, which I have explained earlier, all of their function, all of their tasks, they are given to by this nucleus. The nucleus is inside a nuclear envelope, which protects it from any potential damage. I will explain what a nuclear envelope is. Okay. So 5 main parts of the nucleus. The nuclear membrane protects the nucleus, and it has pores which regulate the material, what materials enters and leave the cell. So now, what is the nuclear membrane? Basically, it is the nuclear envelope. So nuclear membrane, nuclear envelope, they're the same exact thing. And pores. I will explain that very quickly, but later. However, they are what regulates what material enters and leaves the cell. They don't want important things like your DNA leaving the nucleus, right? Inside the nucleus, there's a liquid called nucleoplasm. This maintains the nucleus's spherical shape. So the reason why this nucleus is almost perfectly spherical is because of this nucleoplasm. Okay. Inside our nucleus, there are chromosomes that consist of DNA. However, the chromosomes are in a diluted phase and are called chromatin. So chromosomes are when you call the chromatin chromosomes is when the chromatin is more condensed. The chromatin is condensed during cell division. However, when it's the cell is just doing its regular normal phase, then it's in a diluted phase, which is a more loose phase, and that is called chromatin. The nucleolus is inside the nucleus and helps make ribosomal RNA. This is usually called the little brain. So, the ribosomal RNA, also called rRNA, is then combined with special proteins to make ribosomes, which are organelles that make protein. So the rRNA is combined with proteins which are made from previous ribosomes to make new ribosomes. Now, and also endosomes. They are used in a process of endocytosis, which takes proteins from outside the nucleus inside the nucleus, and the nucleus uses it accordingly. So there are also something called exosomes, which have the complete opposite function but aren't used as much. Usually when something enters a cell, it usually never leaves, kind of like also in prison. If someone enters the cell, they have a long time before they're allowed to leave. So this is the nuclear envelope. So there's a light orange thing, almost like a yellow. This is the outer membrane, and this darker orange, this is called the inner membrane. So this protects the nucleus. This is the nucleolus. This is the little brain that makes the rRNA. This liquidy thing that you see all over here, that is the nucleoplasm. That keeps the spherical shape. So these things that it's pointing to, these are the nuclear pores. These control what enters and leaves the cell. So ribosomes, these are the organelles that make proteins. Chromatin and condensed chromosome structure. So this is chromatin. You can see how it's not very condensed. It's very in a loose form. However, during cell division, it starts to condense and it looks like this. All right. Endocytosis. So this is the processes I was talking about. These are proteins outside of the cell. They gather up in this small place, and then this is the cell membrane. So, and over here there are endosomes, which engulf these proteins and bring them inside the cell using a vesicle. So, function of nucleus. So, nucleus is very important, as I have talked, but what are their functions? What is the functions of the nucleus? The main function of the nucleus is the storage of your heredity, your DNA. The DNA is your genes, which are inherited from your mom and dad. Also, it stores protein with the process of endocytosis, which I just explained. Proteins that are essential to the nucleus are stored inside and used when necessary. The nucleolus is responsible for the production of ribosomes, and the nucleolus is counted as a part of the nucleus. So they're responsible since it makes RNA, which combines with proteins. And during cell division, the nucleus is the place where the DNA is replicated with the help of DNA polymerase. So basically, DNA polymerase is a ribosome, kind of like a protein, which copies the DNA in order to split the cell into two new cells. And the nucleus is the location for transcription. So this is a process where messenger RNA is produced for protein synthesis. Now, what is protein synthesis? Protein synthesis is a process where proteins are created from the ribosome. Yeah, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you find this educational and if this helped you, please do like and subscribe and share with a friend if they need this.